In this video, I'm going to discuss the upcoming potential global recession and what might happen to Singapore. We will also discuss what you can do to be prepared for it. It's certainly a complex global landscape right now, and these escalating tensions can have various impacts on a trade-dependent nation like Singapore. Let's break down each situation. The first one is the trade war between the United States and China. President Trump recently announced tariffs on nearly every country, and the percentage changes depending on how much they sell to the United States versus how much they buy. Singapore got a 10% baseline tariff because we actually buy more from the United States, but other Asian countries are getting hit harder. Japan's at 24%, Vietnam's at 46%, and China's facing a massive 145%. And China retaliated with tariffs up to 125% on goods coming from America. While President Trump announced a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff of 10% for most countries, this did not apply to China. These high tariffs are reportedly causing a sharp drop in shipments from China to the United States, leading some experts to warn of potential product shortages for American consumers. Major retailers in the United States are also expressing concerns about supply chain disruption. You might ask, what's a tariff anyway? Well, in simple English, a tariff is like a special extra fee that the importer needs to pay to bring the item to that country. Imagine a winemaker overseas makes a bottle of wine that costs $50. Now, they want to sell it in the United States. Let's say the US government puts a 10% tariff on imported wine. That means the US company that wants to bring in this wine has to pay an extra 10% of the wine's value as a tax. So, 10% of $50 is $5. This $5 tariff is added to the original $50 cost. Therefore, the US business importing the wine now has to pay $50 per bottle. It's important to understand that when these tariffs are put in place, it's generally the US importer who pays this extra cost to the US government, not the winery in the foreign country. Now, what happens next? The US business that bought the wine for $55 has a few choices. Scenario A, eating the cost. If their profit margin is still good enough, they might decide to absorb that extra $5 and still sell the wine to stores for the original price that consumers were used to, say $50. Scenario B, partial price hike. But businesses usually don't want to lose money, so they might decide to split the difference. They could absorb some of the tariff, but also raise the price a little, maybe selling it to stores for $52 or $53. Scenario C, passing it to the consumer. Or they might decide they don't want to take any hit to their profits and simply pass the entire $5 tariff onto the consumer. In this case, the price of that bottle of wine in the store could go up to $55. This same thing happens with pretty much any product that wasn't made in the United States, whether it's wine, phones, cars, avocados, or even eggs. If the prices of all these imported goods start to go up because of tariffs, then people are likely to start spending less money overall, which ultimately means less business for everyone. The significant tariffs imposed by the United States, particularly on China, and the retaliatory tariffs, have created a climate of uncertainty. The stock market initially reacted sharply negatively in early April. While there has been some recovery following the temporary pause of some reciprocal tariffs, excluding China, the underlying risks and potential for further volatility remain high, especially with the elevated tariffs on China still in place and the upcoming trade talk. How does this trade war impact Singapore? As a crucial node in these global chains, Singapore's trade-related sectors, including manufacturing and wholesale trade, face lower external demand. The Monetary Authority of Singapore has warned that prolonged trade conflicts pose downside risks to Singapore's economic growth. The dampened global sentiment and increased uncertainty lead to businesses worldwide pulling back on hiring and expansion plans, affecting Singapore's employment growth across various sectors. The trade war generates volatility in global financial markets, impacting Singapore's financial sector. Increased uncertainty can lead to businesses postponing investment decisions, affecting Singapore's role as a regional financial hub. The potential for a broader global economic slowdown due to the trade war could further dampen demand for Singapore's goods and services. The IMF has also cut Singapore's 2025 growth forecast, citing the US-China trade war as a key factor. Singapore finds itself in a delicate position, needing to balance its relationships with both the US and China, which are key economic partners. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong has emphasized the need for Singapore to remain nimble and adaptable in this challenging environment. The second thing that is escalating now is rising tension with Iran. The situation with Iran has been volatile for some time, marked by regional conflicts, nuclear program concerns, and indirect confrontations with other global powers. Recent escalations could involve heightened military posturing in the Middle East, disruptions to oil supply routes, and potential cyber conflict. How does the tension in the Middle East impact Singapore? Singapore is heavily reliant on imported oil and gas. Any significant disruption to Middle Eastern oil supplies due to conflict involving Iran would likely cause a spike in global energy prices. This would directly translate to higher costs for businesses and consumers in Singapore, increasing inflation. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical choke point for global oil and trade. Increased tensions or conflict could disrupt shipping lanes, leading to higher transportation costs and potential delays in goods reaching Singapore and its trading partners. This would negatively affect Singapore's role as a major trading hub. While geographically distant, Singapore is a multicultural nation with a significant Muslim population. Heightened tensions involving Muslim-majority countries can sometimes lead to increased social sensitivities and security concerns within Singapore. And the third thing that is grabbing attention now is the recent conflict between India and Pakistan. The recent surge in hostilities between India and Pakistan, including missile strikes and border clashes, is deeply concerning. The core issue remains the disputed Kashmir region. Escalation could involve further military action, border closures, airspace restrictions, and diplomatic breakdown. How does this impact Singapore? Singapore has already advised its citizens to defer non-essential travel to affected region. Travel agencies are reportedly cancelling tours. This directly impacts the tourism sector and Singaporeans with travel plans. While the direct trade volume between Singapore and the immediate conflict zones might not be massive compared to Singapore's overall trade, any prolonged conflict can disrupt regional supply chains and increase shipping costs. India is an increasingly important trading partner for Singapore and the Southeast Asian country. Conflict between two nuclear-armed neighbors creates significant regional and global economic uncertainty. This can negatively affect investor sentiment towards the region, including Singapore, potentially impacting investment flows and stock market performance. A significant conflict between India and Pakistan could have wider implications for the South Asian region and potentially affect ASEAN's economic and political dynamics. Some Southeast Asian countries also rely on food imports from India and Pakistan. Singapore, which supports multilateralism and a rules-based international order, views such conflicts as detrimental to global stability. It may need to navigate its relationships with both India and Pakistan carefully. As you can see, all of these factors combined create a very challenging situation. Singapore operates in a highly interconnected global environment. These seemingly distant conflicts can have a cascading effect. The first one is compounding economic pressure. The trade wars initiated by the US, coupled with rising energy prices due to Middle East tensions and potential trade disruptions from the India-Pakistan conflict, could create a challenging economic environment for Singapore. Higher inflation, supply chain issues, and reduced global demand could all contribute to slower economic growth. The Monetary Authority of Singapore has already highlighted the risks of prolonged trade conflicts to Singapore's economy. The second one is increased geopolitical risk. Singapore, as a small and open economy, is particularly vulnerable to geopolitical instability. Simultaneous tensions in different parts of the world increase the overall risk and uncertainty, making it harder for businesses to plan and for investors to remain confident. This also impacts Singapore's role as a hub. Singapore's strength lies in its role as a key trading, financial, and logistics hub. Global instability and disrupted trade flows can undermine this position. These global headwinds underscore the importance for Singapore to continue diversifying its trade partners, strengthen its supply chain resilience, and invest in future-oriented industries to mitigate external shocks. In conclusion, while Singapore might not be directly involved in these conflicts, its highly open and trade-dependent economy makes it susceptible to the ripple effects of global geopolitical tension. The combination of trade wars, Middle East instability, and South Asian conflict creates a more uncertain and potentially challenging outlook for Singapore's economy and its strategic positioning in the world. The government will likely be closely monitoring these situations and formulating strategies to navigate these complex challenges. Okay, so what can you do about all this as an everyday person? Here are some things I'd really suggest you think about. First off, if you don't already have one, start building an emergency fund like yesterday. The usual advice is to aim for 6 to 12 months worth of living expenses tucked away. Honestly though, the more you can save, the better peace of mind you'll have. Next up, make sure your insurance is sorted. I'm talking about things like health insurance and fire insurance, the essentials that can stop one bad event from completely derailing your finances. And here's another big one. Look at ways to bring in extra income. Think about starting a side hustle that doesn't need much or any money to get going, or learn a new skill that people will pay for. It could be something straightforward, like doing food delivery on weekends, selling your amazing home-baked treats, waiting tables a couple of nights a week, offering your skills as a freelancer on platforms like Fiverr, even considering getting your real estate license, starting a YouTube channel, or trying affiliate marketing. Seriously, anything you can think of, just start now. Don't wait around. From what I've seen, it takes time for any of these income streams to really take off. You're probably not going to make big bucks from day one. It could take months, maybe even over a year. So, getting started early is key. Trust me on this. Having those extra income streams already running can be a real lifesaver if, heaven forbid, there are mass layoffs. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.